second time by Juliette Gregson.
Hello.
Hello, Juliette. Now that people, regular listeners to Blue Iris will of course remember your first visit, which I think was about October time, wasn't it? It was October, November time. I think it was. It was after we'd been to Salisbury Hall. I know that much. And quite a few things have happened since. I know that you're pressing on with your various projects and stuff, so that's why we've dragged you in here to talk about it today. So first of all, welcome back.
Thank you.
It's nice to see you. And just tell us what's going on in the world of Juliette and her Blackpool Ghost project. What's happening?
Flipping out, where do I start? Well, obviously, after I had my last visit here, I decided to, with the help of my father and various other friends, to make a website, which is Blackpool Ghosts, www.blackpoolghost.co.uk. Quite nice, and it's been up and running for the past month now. So basically, obviously, I'm just trying to compile evidence and stories and throw in a little bit of Blackpool history as well, because I think everybody at some point has obviously come here for the holiday, or even if they're local, they go, oh, I never knew that, and that sort of thing. I've been trying to write things for magazines and newspapers and things like that, so I've had an article published in a magazine called Vision, and it's like paranormal, deals with mediums and things like that. I've had something published on the internet for BBC Lancashire.
That's the spooky site, isn't it?
It's the spooky site, because I was like, oh, I'll see if I can get any. Basically, I'm just sort of emailing people saying, hello, my name's Juliette, I live in Blackpool Ghosts, and kind of blagging it a bit, but at the end of the day, I think it's just interesting, so I thought, I'm doing it for free. I'm doing it for charity. I mean, there was another magazine that's just been launched called Blackpool Spotlight, so I'm going to be writing for that as well. So it's all good experience at the end of the day, and trying to reach the masses out there, so to speak.
Sure, because you had a sort of a website within a website set up, didn't you? It was kind of like it was on Pro Boards, wasn't it?
It was, yes, and they tend to crash on a regular basis, so I thought, better look professional now. So it was like, Dad, yes, can you help me please? So he set that up for me, and my friend Carl, he did sort of like the forum side where we can post things like that. So at the moment, got about 50 members in a month, which is pretty good going.
Absolutely, no, it is. It's slow, isn't it? Because you get the word out, it's difficult.
It's difficult, but at the end of the day, I don't care how long it takes. I still want to write the book about Blackpool Ghosts.
Yeah.
And I don't care if it takes me 2 years or 10 years. It's like a work of love, so to speak.
I think we spoke the last time you came in about the various ghosts and sightings and things that are seen, the legend, the legends of Blackpool ghosts and things like that. And it's perhaps not as plentiful as some areas, simply because it's not been around for as long as other places in terms of actually being a town and the buildings.
Very
true. We're not dealing with 300-400-year-old cathedrals and stuff in Blackpool, are we? We're dealing with things that stretch back to the
couple of hundred years.
Yeah, Victorian times and a bit before.
I mean, if it was like York, you can go, York Minster or London and so on and so forth. I mean, you can sort of trace it back to sort of Roman settlements around the area, but the nearest one I think was probably Lancaster, to be honest. I'd have to go back and research that. We had I don't know if it was a village or a Kilgrimmel. Have you heard of that? That was one of the centre. Yeah,
around the St Anne's there, because there's still Kilgrimmel Gardens, isn't there, just off Clifton Drive? Yeah.
That's sank.
Yes.
So that's quite interesting, but there's very few references there. Because I thought that would have been interesting if you could sort of do a Doctor Who and go back in time and go, ooh, this is interesting. Blackpool, though, because you think, well, was it a seaside town? How many people did we have? It's just sort of originally lots of farms, and then they all sort of grew over the years, and then made Blackpool what it is today, which is a seaside resort, I think.
I suppose it's inevitable, though, isn't it? Because when you research things about ghosts, they're intrinsically linked with historical events and historical times. So I suppose it's twofold, really, isn't it? You're finding out about ghosts, legends, things like that, but you're also, there's a chance there, people go on the website, people are going to get a potted history of Blackpool and also find out things they never knew. Yeah.
Same here. I mean, it's just absolutely fascinating, some of the things I found out, because I thought, I wonder if there have been any boat crashes or things like that.
Yeah.
And I ended up on a Fleetwood website, and it was like a list over the past 300 years of the names of the ships that had crashed along the coast. It was like, good grief, it was I was really surprised at that. And it's literally from Fleetwood up to St Anne's and Lytham. I was like, bloody hell. I was quite surprised, and I was like, good grief, you could probably explain if you saw something if you're walking along the promenade.
Yeah.
Perhaps it's the people from the shipwrecks. I don't know. It's another explanation, perhaps.
But in terms of of supposed sightings and legends and things like that around Blackpool. I mean, is there one that strikes at you as being the most common? The one that when you keep doing some digging, it always comes back to that one of the better known legends around the town.
I think with the Pleasure Beach, because it's when the Pleasure Beach was actually sort of up and running, because it was actually built on a gypsy camp and the sand dunes.
Yeah.
And the wonderful Blackpool Pleasure Beach history is always a bit vague. They say, oh yes, it was this year, and I'm thinking, no, it was about 1904, 1905, when it actually, Pleasure Beach as it was. Most people go, oh, Pleasure Beach, cloggy, ghost train.
Of course, this is...
and then, my haunted. Yeah. And then everybody's always got a story about that. I have. My late granddad used to work there. I've worked there. My mother's worked there. I've been there and I've heard things, and then I thought, hold on a minute. My granddad would hide and he would jump out and frighten people. I've done it. Naughty, I know, but that's one of the things that sometimes we did when we worked there. It's a bit of fun. Let's scare the punters. I'm sorry if I scared you. I'm really sorry.
Because, of course, Cloggy, if anyone ever watches Most Haunted, I think we mentioned this last time you were in there, that they apparently picked up on this spirit called Cloggy that hides in the ghost train. But I spoke to somebody at the Pleasure Beach who says they know for a fact that's completely made up. It's just nonsense. But what about something that's actually got a bit more substance to it?
I mean, there are quite a few that are dotted about the Pleasure Beach. You've got like the previous owners, and I don't mean Mr. Jeffrey Thompson, Mr. Leonard Thompson. Apparently, he's seen round about the Wonderful World building, which is what is now like the casino bit where Mistake is.
Yeah.
You've got the Ice Dome, which is now called the Ice Arena, but you've got people who've had heart attacks there, and skaters are seen. You've got things in the changing rooms backstage. There's quite a few. You've got the Star Pub. There's things that have been seen there over the years. So when you start digging a bit more, you think, oh, it's not just Cloggy. There are other bits. I mean, I used to skate there as a child, and my parents actually met there. So they've sort of passed things on. And with my granddad, and he'd tell me things, and I thought, this is interesting. And I've picked things up from friends and colleagues who worked there over the years. And it's like, maybe there is something to it. Because when you think where it was built, gypsy encampment.
Of course, yeah.
But I felt that, you'd have to research it. It's interesting, nevertheless. I'm like, could be something to it.
What about the tower? Because I've known people who've worked in the tower for a long, long time. I hardly know anyone that has worked there that hasn't seen something. That's got quite a bit of history attached to it. Supposedly this old Edwardian gentleman in a top hat is supposed to be seen quite a lot, isn't he, around the tower ballroom?
I mean, there are so many bits. It could be the person who built it. It could be somebody who just liked going there, maybe looking for his lost love, or generally just liking Blackpool Tower. But then again, you can sort of harken it back to when some of the ships have crashed along that area. And they thought, I'll just have a visit here. At the end of the day, I wish I could go around that properly, but I haven't had the chance to. But it is quite spooky. And you're like, maybe it's the lighting, maybe there is something there. But everybody, like you've just said, everybody's seen something. I thought I saw something, but I thought, no, it's just me. It's the light, because there wasn't a lot of light at the time.
But when you've been talking to people and researching, I mean, have you had any particularly interesting sort of eyewitness accounts from people who say they've seen something maybe fairly recently somewhere?
Oddly enough, no. They're more concerned, I think, with the Pleasure Beach or other areas at the moment. Because it's Blackpool Tower. Yes, it's tall. Yes. Have you got any stories? No. Okay. I think they're having a rush on all pictures at the moment. I was at the Winter Gardens and I got this orb. All right, thank you. But that's quite good. But then again, you think, right, is it the camera? Have they cleaned it? Is it something? But the Winter Gardens, again, I think there's quite a lot of history there. So to me, the Winter Gardens complex is more interesting.
And of course, you've got the Grand Theatre, which I suppose is... that is an eerie place at night, isn't it? I've been in there, it's almost completely dark, and you wouldn't want to be there on your own, particularly.
I think I went on a guided tour a couple of years ago with my mother, and we were sort of walking on the stage. Bigger than you think as well when you stood there. You're like, this is quite good. And we were sort of walking backstage and around where you're not allowed to usually as the general public. And we heard things. Like somebody was walking behind us and there wasn't. There was just myself and my mother. And it was like, you hear that? Yeah. Okay. But then again, we always hear things, so it's like, But I'd love to go around again and sort of do something proper and go, right, have you seen this? What have you seen? What did it look like? Get somebody maybe to do a sketch or something like that. That'd be interesting.
Because, of course, we talked last time about maybe setting up some sort of ghost club. Because we've been so busy here, we've not been able to do it. But we really need to do this because there's still no one else has done it. So we need to do this. We really do need to do it. And I know, again, we talked before we went on air about at least a couple of friends of mine who are currently experiencing some things at the moment at home that they really can't understand, some really interesting stuff, and hopefully if we went in maybe recorded something, we might be able to tell people about it next time. But those sort of people would love to join that kind of thing, and because most other towns and cities seem to have a ghost club or whatever. We should have. There isn't one in Blackpool, is there? There's a psychic club, I think, but that tends to be more about people kind of telling you what's going to happen in your job or something, but not actually investigating things that go on in Blackpool. We were talking as well before about quite an old sighting of a green-faced ghost around the gates to Carlton Crematorium, weren't we? And if you look on the internet, it's quite easy to find stuff about this. This is on just off Blackpool Road, isn't it? Blackpool Road?
Yes, we had a look on Google and we had fun trying to...
We did, we were on Google Earth trying to...
We do live here, we just don't know the names of the streets. Indeed. I'm sorry.
But I know that you've approached the people who look after Carlton Crematorium about possibly being able to go there and do some...
Even just to go around and sort of say, this is what I want to write along these lines, sort of show them things that I've written and sort of say, I'd like your permission because, you know, this is a lovely place and I just want to hear it from people who work here. Do it properly and rather than... Ghost seen at Golden Crab. Green. Have you seen the green ghost? Dun dun dun. You know, what are you doing? Did you get permission? No. It was best to do things properly.
Because it does sound quite a terrifying legend, really, and we're not quite sure. There's not an awful lot recorded about fairly recent sightings, but I would imagine. I'm sure somebody's seen something. I would have thought.
The original report was in the Blackpool Herald, which is now the Blackpool Gazette in 1936. And if you actually look back in the history, the crematorium was officially opened in 1936 of that year. So I reckon it must have been in the summer months when it opened. Yeah. And if you actually, it is huge, absolutely huge. But you know, you sort of hear gossip and stories over the years. I mean, to this day, my father will not drive past there during the day or during the night. Really? Really. Right. And I actually put that on the website and he went, "You put this?" I was like, "Well, it's true. Do you drive past there?" I said, "Well, yes. I've actually gone there at night." And he's like, mad. I'm like, yes, it is a bit scary because I think subconsciously you're like, woo, and you sort of gene yourself up. But I thought, no, I have to do it.
So why won't you drive past? Just because?
I think because of that.
Right.
So there's probably part of me that thinks, yes, I'd like to go and write up about it and to sort of either A, prove to my dad, yes, it is true, or B, no, it's just folklore. But if you go back, there's a lot of farms around there over the years. Somebody, I think, was actually brutally murdered, I think, around that area and era as well. So it's just going, oh, right, let's piece this together and see what we got. A lot of it could just be kids, you know, just in high spirits. Oh, that's a bad pun. That was a really bad pun. You know, just maybe somewhere to go. Because people think, oh, you know, they go on the amusement arcade. But no, some actually go to the crematoriums because it's quiet. Yeah. They won't get hassled. Sure. I don't.
But having set up the website, though, have you had a few people contact you or friends or whatever who contact you and said, I've experienced this, what do you think? I mean, people coming to you and saying, look, what do you reckon? Could this be my imagination? Do you think there's anything in it?
Yeah, or they've sent me pictures of orbs, or they've sent me a story about Blackpool or their local area, because I've done a little section, you know, do your own little story. Yeah. Other people, obviously, from other sites going, oh, this is really interesting, I like reading about it. Even if they don't live in Blackpool, I've got friends in London, friends in Yorkshire, you know, just dotted everywhere going, oh, that's good. It's nice seeing the tower half built. I said, yeah, it is quite intriguing, but it's nice to sort of think, oh, is that what it used to look like? Or that could explain why that happens, because of the ley lines, or there was a farm there, or there was a gypsy encampment, or something.
But, I mean, is there anywhere, apart from what we mentioned, that you particularly like to go and check this out? I think I probably asked you this last time, but I mean, having done a bit more research, is there somewhere you'd really like to go and sort of have a really good look? The Winter Garden.
Winter Garden, because apparently there's tunnels left, right and centre that even the staff, some of the staff there have forgotten exist. Right.
Well, because most haunted went under there, didn't they?
They didn't explore as much as they could, apparently. I met somebody, I think at a psychic club, and they said, oh, I'm a caretaker there, or something. And I've emailed him, and his emails bounced back, so I'm going to have to go to the club again and go, hello, can I look round, please? because he said, "Oh yeah," he said, "just bring a camcorder and we'll just have a walk." And I'm thinking, "Yay!" I'll be there just walking around going, "Ooh," because I love things like that. It's like very Indiana Jones.
Yeah. But the book that you're obviously planning, I mean, as far as we know, there's not really been another. But there's a book released a couple of years ago on Lancashire Ghosts, which is quite interesting. But specifically about Blackpool, I don't think it's been done before. So there's no reason why there shouldn't be some sort of market for it.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you could probably go online and think Blackpool history books, and there's probably 20, 30. Over the years, I can think of like Ted Lightbrown. He writes books about Blackpool. I think he lives in Leighton, and various other people. And I thought, it's not on ghosts. Loads on the internet, but it's not about the paranormal side of Blackpool. So I thought, right, don't care. I'm going to compile something. And that's when I sort of started it last year. So I thought, be nice.
Sure.
It's going to take a while.
Sure. Last time we were here, of course, we had a really good chat about Most Haunted, which, of course, is a phenomenon. I've got a slight feeling it's possibly died down a bit to what it was maybe a year or 18 months ago. It was at its peak, but it seems to have died down. I wonder as well, I'm not quite sure if he'd gone or he was about to go when we last spoke.
I think he was about to go.
Derek, yes, he was, because the Halloween one that they did it with, was it at Whitechapel with Jack the Ripper?
Yeah.
I think that was the last one he did, wasn't it? Because, of course, Derek, of course, left, and he's doing his own programme now. You got the impression it was possibly to add a bit more credibility to it by him going. I've got Gordon Smith in now. It's a bit more...
He's left.
He's left as well?
Yes.
I didn't know that. Wow. How come? Do we know? Or?
I can't say.
Oh, right. Oh, you know, but you don't.
Yes, I know and I can't say, and I'll be done for libel.
Oh, okay.
Again!
Okay.
I can tell him off air, but unfortunately, sorry, I can't say it.
Tell me off air.
I'm really sorry, listeners. I know far more than I should.
So he's gone, right?
He's gone.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Do you think programs like, I mean, obviously ITV have launched the Haunted Homes program, and the guy on there is a skeptic. He's a real skeptic, isn't he? Because he's also on Trisha's Psychic Britain program on Channel 5, isn't he? He's a he disses everything, doesn't he, that guy?
Oh, he does. I mean, at the end of the day, I think there is a shelf life to something like this. It's like with reality TV, Big Brother, things like that. Reality, like Maureen, I think, learning to drive, that sort of type of program. And I think with Most Haunted, yes, it was good. It was good in its day, and it's kind of going, and it's sort of going down the slope again. But they are actually producing a ghost game. The actual production company, Antics and Yvette Fielding, and her husband Carl Beatty. Looks quite good, actually. And they're sort of doing subsidiaries of that and doing guest talks and sort of games and things.
A ghost game? What, for a computer game, you mean, or something?
I think, yes, or something you can, like Atmosphere, like a DVD type thing. So I thought that could be quite interesting. Because my friend Carl Wilde, he actually has, he does board games, and he sells them, and he does, from all over the world, like Germany and sort of Spain and things. I think he's going to supply, because, like you do divisions and things like that. So I thought it'd be interesting just to see one, and so we can have a go, just sort of test it and things like that. Because I sort of emailed saying, my friend actually does this, and apparently they'd already got in contact. I was like, oh, I was trying to do you a favour, Carl. He was like, sorry, forgot. I was like...
I don't think there's been a Most Haunted Live for a bit, has there? No. Because I know Dr. David Bull left as well, didn't he?
Yes, that was like, why are they all leaving? There are reasons behind that, and I think some of it was probably due to, moving on to pastures. You can't stay in the same thing for too long, otherwise you get typecast and possibly money, I think, at the end of the day. I mean, Derek's gone on to do Ghost Towns, which has proved really successful. He did one in Blackpool.
I've never seen it, to be honest. I've never seen any of it.
It was interesting because where he actually filmed, you had the Illuminations depot, which is on Rugby Road.
Oh, yeah, of course, yes.
And then the actual hotel he visited, because I actually did this at Google again. Where would I be without Google? He actually went to this hotel, which was like a 3-minute walk from me, and I thought all the places they went to were within a 10-minute driving distance. I thought, that's naughty! And I've tried to get in contact with some of them, but they're proving a bit rude and not answering me back. So I may just turn up and just go, hello, can I interview you?
The Illuminations Depot, we can certainly put you in touch with the guy who runs Blackpool Illumination Depot, a guy called Richard Ryan, who is a friend of Blue Iris, because we did an interview with him just after the Illuminations was switched on, and he's a really nice guy. He will happily show you around.
That would be smashing.
Happily show you around.
I did email, but I get the feeling It might have been lost in the system.
Don't worry, I'll give you his email address. It's no problem. So possibly that these things are kind of they've maybe been done to saturation point. I mean, maybe most Haunted would be better off disappearing for 18 months and coming back with having
fresh new outlook.
Yeah, because they must be running out of places to go. I would have thought as well.
I mean, at the end of the day, they've been to Blackpool twice. When I think about it, they did the Most Haunted live here in 2004, but before that, they actually visited Blackpool. But they went round the Ghost Train. I forget where else they went. It was like in the very beginning.
Yeah.
But then again, they actually live in Southpool, so that's near.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they went for the obvious things, like the Winter Gardens, the Tower.
They've also been to Mains Hall, of course, which was the one which was supposed to have something interesting on it. Again, I never saw it, but apparently it was some kind of mist or something.
Mist or cobweb and things like that. I mean, there was much heated debate on the internet and forums and things like that, and I thought, ooh, I'm backing out of this one.
Did you actually see it at all, the episode?
I saw the episode and I thought, well, it could have gone either way. You could have thought, ooh, yes, they have got something. But then again, it's just personal judgment, I think, at the end of the day. Lovely place. Really nice, you think, ooh, this is fabulous, but that would need, I think, a proper investigation, to be honest.
Yeah.
Rather than people going, oh, well, it's Most Haunted, and they've kind of dismissed it. Rather a group go there and go, yes. Ooh, yeah, we've got this.
But on the flip side of that, though, there's an awful lot of companies starting up on the internet, things like, I think there's one called Fright Nights and one or two others that do these overnight stays, but they actually do take professional investigators. It's not a case of, well, we just sit there and see if anything bumps. They do actually conduct experiments. They're meant to be very, very good. And they go to some amazing places. Like, I think one of the favourites for Fright Nights is Dudley Castle, because that's supposed to be very haunted, one of the most haunted locations in Britain. And they go all over the place. They go to the place that Charles I was meant to have been hiding from Cromwell's men in Worcester. That was like an old inn. That's meant to be particularly haunted and places like that. And York, they do a lot of there's various sort of haunted pubs, isn't there, in York?
There is. I do like York.
York's great, isn't it? It's an atmospheric place. So those sort of things seem to be doing quite well. I
don't think there's a market in Blackpool.
No, there isn't. No,
because it's too many. No disrespect intended. Holiday makers going, whoa, tottering quite nicely along the promenade. But if other things like that, Blackpool hasn't got the history yet. Give it another couple of 100 years, then maybe that sounds really bad. I'll be dead.
Sure, of course, locally we've got things like, obviously we went to Salisbury Hall, which is great, and then you've got Jingle Hall, which is it seems to be like becoming the holy grail of ghost investigators. Everybody wants to go there, but of course it's no longer a tourist attraction, and you just can't get in, can you? Well, very difficult to.
Apparently you can, but it's who you know, I've heard.
Right.
Because I don't know the right people, obviously, at the moment. And I said, but you can't go around. Yes, you can. You can't. But I don't know who.
I think if you approach them as a charity and say you're doing an overnight stay, but promise not to record anything. I once had a chat with a guy from, I think it was MARA, Merseyside Anomalies Research Association, and I think he'd done a deal with the owner of Jingle Hall. He said, you can come round, you can stay, you can take all the recordings and video footage you want, but sign this and you mustn't do anything with it for 5 years, and then you can release it.
How bizarre.
And I don't know whether that meant that the owner was planning to get rid of it in 5 years, so it wouldn't be his problem. But I know when he took it over, he stopped it immediately because he didn't want people traipsing all over his house. Because
I mean, fair comment.
But it's amazing. But in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, everybody was going there having day tours and night tours. I went there twice. It is. If anywhere's haunted, if these things really exist, it would be there. There's no doubt about it.
I was too young, so I'd obviously read about it, and then obviously when the internet became more popular, it was like, oh, this looks interesting. I never knew what it looked like.
Yeah.
It would be nice just to sort of go out, even if I didn't take any pictures, I'd just be like, ooh, I've been here now.
Well, maybe as a charity we should approach them and say, look, we're going to do some charity fundraising. I know of a couple I heard on the internet definitely did it last year. Cancer charities and local hospitals got sponsored, So I don't see why. Perhaps we should approach them, see if we can do it.
Might be worth a go.
We'll have a word. Yeah. Definitely. So let's just recap on your website then. It is
www.blackpoolghosts.co.uk. All lowercase.
And there's all sorts of things on there. There's a forum where people can join in and have a chat.
There's places you can post your all pictures or any other pictures of ghosts that you think you've caught. There's the history of Blackpool. I've tried to put the history of the ghosts I found out about. I've put links, or I've posted the articles I've written. pictures of old Blackpool again,
Yeah.
which sort of ties in with the history of the ghosts and the paranormal.
But it's always good, of course, to hear from people who've got experiences of their own.
Definitely, yes.
And because no disrespect to our audience, but our audience are experienced, should we say, advanced in years, and I'm sure that one or two of them have heard some stories about Blackpool and things like that. So get in touch with me via all the details, and I can pass them on to Juliette, or you can just go visit Juliette's site and add your comments there, or leave a message or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there are people out there with some stories.
Even if it's just a couple of lines or a small paragraph, or I've got this picture, what do you think of it? Anything. I just enjoy sort of talking to people and going, ooh, well, this is fascinating. And then, several emails later, it's like, oh.
What's the most interesting pictures finally you've had submitted to your web? Not just that website, but you've seen maybe locally in the last few years. Interesting picture.
There was one which is a fake, which I thought was highly entertaining, and you can find it on the internet, and I think it was the Coronation Street exhibition when we had it next to St.
I've seen that one, yes.
And the Sharples or something.
Yeah, ridiculous, isn't it?
And it was like, are they pulling my leg?
I think they were.
That's what I looked, and I thought, nah, sort of thing.
What about a real one then?
A real one? I mean, obviously, I would say probably some of mine, but there are other things that friends have sort of sent me of orbs or pictures of like their relatives. So like Phantom Cat, I think that was a bizarre one, and I think it was the reflection of the cat's eyes. They look red. It's like devil cat. It was like, no, okay. But I quite like the orb ones at the moment because I'm trying to sort of find explanations for things like that. It's like, well, you didn't clean your camera, but sometimes you can actually see faces in them, and I'm thinking, well, you've got to be pretty good with a camera to do that. I think some are fake, but some aren't. I probably have to go through everything and go, ooh. I'd like to get a definitive one, sort of like, is this, the most famous Blackpool ghost? Or here's Cloggy. It clogs us. No, that would be cruel. That's my wicked sense of humour.
I think though that probably the most interesting stories are ones from people who otherwise would be pretty sceptical. Because I was talking about this. We were talking in the pub the other night after drama, and I was speaking to. I'm in a drama group with a lady whose husband used to be my PE teacher, and he's hard as nails. He's a former Commonwealth shot putter. He's a really kind of hard, down to earth PE teacher bloke, and he swears blind that the day that he didn't know his granddad was ill. His granddad died suddenly, and apparently he was sat at home one day and he saw his granddad's face sort of looking at him from the wall. And about an hour later, they got the phone call saying his granddad had died. And he still doesn't believe in ghosts, but he believes it in that story, and he says it's absolutely true. And he was a young man in his sort of late teens, early 20s. He wasn't a kid hallucinating. He's not making it up. And it's interesting when you speak to people like that, you think, well,
credibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I think, because my mother and I see things in that respect. I think my father over the years, he's like, oh, it's all piffle, waffle, boulder dash. But now, I think because I'm doing this, and he's like, oh, what have you written now? Or what have you got flipping published? And then I said, have you ever seen anything? And I go, well, yeah. And he swears blind things like this don't exist. He really does. So in that respect, I would believe my dad, and I think, well, I've seen it, so he's seen it. And he's very sceptical.
Yeah.
It's very odd. Some people you think, yeah, you're just pulling my leg. Other people, like respected people, like priests and things, you think, maybe something to this.
Sure.
It's fascinating at the end of the day.